Welcome, everybody. We are episode number 2 of Job Talk. I'm Brandon Evans. I'm the Director of Employers Training Resource, the county's Chief Workforce Development Officer, but you can just call me the Jobs Guy. And today, for episode number 2, we are super stoked to have with us retired Army Ranger, CEO of TalentBase, all-around great guy, Kenny Spratt.
Thanks,
Kenny,
Brandon.
welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's get a little bit into your background, but let's also make sure we help people to understand what it is that is your current mission and all that. So bring us up to speed. Where are you coming from and where you're trying to go?
Sure. So actually, I'm from the Central Valley. I was born and raised here. I joined the Army in 1999. I had no plan to make it a career. It just happened that September 11th happened and one thing led to another, and found myself going on deployment after deployment, and then next thing you know, it became a career for me. So I did 20 years of service all over the world, Italy, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, all these crazy different places. And then in 2019, I decided I was a first sergeant at the U.S. Army Ranger School, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I was just finished doing the gender integration where females were coming into the U.S. Army Ranger School. And at that point, when I was finished with that major accomplishment, I really wanted to do something just a little bit different outside of the box. So I was very fortunate to be able to take part in this pretty cool program called the DoD Skill Bridge program. And in this program, I actually joined Amazon. And then through that program, I started with Amazon, almost like a work-based learning experience opportunity. And I did that as an operations manager for about 6 months. I was great at it, but I wasn't in love with it. I knew that I wanted to contribute and be able to contribute and still help people move forward. So I actually decided to treat it like it was a deployment, right? I put forth my maximum effort into it, wound up actually doing very well in that opportunity, and then wound up joining the talent acquisition team at Amazon. And that's where the real fun started. And it was during the heights of COVID. And during this time frame, we were growing. Everybody was ordering everything online, a lot of stuff.
I was contributing to that.
And so we were we had to be able, there was a lot of stuff going behind the scenes in order to make that happen. So we were scaling, we were growing a lot. So I wound up having a large team, about 11 different recruiters all throughout the United States. And I was responsible for helping develop that strategy, which was so much fun. But we wound up bringing on about 11,000 people on my team alone. During that time frame, which was really cool. However, after COVID, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Our hiring started to dwindle down quite a bit, and that's when the wonderful company was picking up, and then the opportunity was growing out in Shafter at the major logistics complex they have there. So I spent quite a bit of time there, understanding the different challenges and pain points, but really being able to support the community of Kern County, primarily Shafter and Wasco, with opportunities to actually join those employment opportunities in the industrial park. So it was a lot of fun. Actually, that's where I started working with Employers Training Resources. I started working with different agencies in the community to really go about what we can do to help support the community to make sure that we're providing opportunities for the communities in which we serve. Okay. So doing that, wound up creating forklift training programs, wound up creating apprenticeship programs, and then from there, I saw that there was just so much more of an opportunity to be able to not just help our community, but also help veterans in our community. So that's when I decided to step away and really launch TalentBase and put my full effort into making sure that veterans had an opportunity in our community.
Right. That's fantastic. So I've got a lot to ask you about.
Okay.
Right? But let's start here. You mentioned the DoD's program, Skills Bridge, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that because it feels to me, and you can correct me. This is fine. I'll fight you about it later. But it feels to me like that program helped you transition from military life to civilian life, and maybe is key to what you're doing now. So why don't you give us a little bit more on that?
So let me give you some context on the Skill Bridge program.
Please.
So the Skill Bridge program is for active duty service members, and what it really does is it provides active duty service members up to 180 days to be able to transition out of the military and conduct a work-based learning opportunity with an employer that they want to move over to once they're done with their service. So really what it does, it provides the ability for them to get rid of that military mind frame and be able to transition successfully. It allows the employers the opportunity to evaluate that talent to make sure it's a right fit. at the end of the day, what it's designed to do is to make sure that that veteran has an opportunity to have an employment once they're done with service. It's a really neat opportunity. The employer doesn't pay anything for it because you're still on an active duty. Matter of fact, it also helps with the relocation aspect. So I was living in Georgia at the time, right? And I picked up and I moved all the way here to California for my SkillBridge internship. And next thing you know, I'm right back in the same community that I wound up leaving 20 years ago. So it's just a great opportunity to be able to convert back out of the military. During that process, there's a lot of different changes that you go through. For example, like understanding what that new atmosphere is going to be like in the new workforce, the communication challenges that are different, right? And then, so really what it does, it provides you a little bit more of that perspective so that you can hit the ground running as soon as you're done with your service for your country. So
right. So is that available to all active military? What's the, how does that play out?
So that's a great question you asked that. It is available for all active duty service members. The challenging point is that all active duty service members don't have the opportunity to participate in the program. And the reason why it is because it's based off of each branch of service is a little bit different and how they manage their time and how they go through that. But it's also up to the commander's approval to do that. And a lot of that has to do with what the military unit is doing at that time frame. So it could be op-tempo, it could be a mission that you're doing. So you might not have the ability to do that. Another challenging thing, though, for a lot of veterans that are in active duty while they're serving, a lot of veterans, when they're leaving service, they don't necessarily want to go straight into the workforce once they're done. They want to utilize their GI Bill, and they want to go back to school. That's the challenging point, and that's a missed major opportunity. Those veterans that are going straight to school don't have that ability to participate in that SkillBridge program.
Right. So I know you're humble enough to think that, well, you're just one opinion, but in terms of transitioning from military life to civilian life, what do you think about the school choice versus getting back into the employment world?
I think that the school choice is a great opportunity because what it really provides for veterans when they're going back to school, it provides an ability to truly understand the science behind what you're trying to get into. So, for example, one of the great things in the military is they teach you go through. They invest a lot of money in your leadership training, right? You go through all these different trainings and things of that nature of how to be a great leader. What's missing from that, though, is the actual technical capacity of that, right? And so what that school break opportunity provides is that ability to really understand that technical aspect and that technical ability. And so the challenging point, though, is once that service member is done with school, that they are still a veteran and they still have challenges that they're trying to get into the workforce. And so that's really why I started my company, is to really solve that challenging portion where student veterans are still we have a missed major opportunity with student veterans. And matter of fact, when student veterans are graduating school, they're actually in the same category as every other graduate, right? However, those individuals that are veterans that have already served their country, that honorably, right, proven themselves. However, and plus on top of that, they have the education. So we should be able to that should be something that we as a community are embracing, and we're as employers that we're saying, these are individuals that we really want to put some stock into.
Awesome. So let me just give you a preview of where I think part of this conversation can go. I would love to give you a chance to three things. One, talk more a little bit about your civilian, your time with Amazon more, and wonderful, especially in terms of project management and some of the things that you did there. I want you to be able to get a chance to talk to our veteran community from that piece. And then we just got to make sure that we also hit on the employer and what employers can get by hiring veterans.
Okay.
So let's do, your time at Amazon, your time at Wonderful. Kind of just slow down a little bit and let us get a feel of what you learned and how you're taking advantage of it.
Okay. So like I was saying, I joined Amazon directly as an operations manager. I had no operational experience at all. I had zero warehouse fulfillment center experience. But what I did have was years of that leadership experience, and being decisive and being a ranger really teaches you quite a bit of that framework of not being afraid to be able to take charge. When you're put in a position to take charge, take charge.
Yeah.
So when I stepped into, matter of fact, the first time I stepped into a fulfillment center was my first day on the job as an operations manager. So you want to talk about drinking from the fire hose, so that was a challenging aspect. So what I had was those years of leadership experience, being able to put a plan of action together in place, and not being afraid to tell people, hey, this is what needs to happen, this is what we need to do, and being open to feedback. What I didn't have was the technical capacity. I did not. I will tell you. You can ask anybody that's probably worked at Amazon, especially as a operations manager or an area manager. They're all walking around with their laptop computers, every single one of them, and they all have probably about 30 to 40 different programs on their computer open up at a time. Okay. Kid you not. Right. And so that was a challenging aspect, was to understand that technical capacity. And that's where you start taking that feedback. You start being, and that's a challenging thing I think a lot of veterans have.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we got to pause. So laptops, all the application. What's going on in that laptop?
So I can. So you're running an operation. So everything is ran through a conveyance system. You've got people that are doing all kinds of stuff. My shift was about 300 different associates working for me at a time. I've got pickers, I've got packers, and I've got to make sure that I have a right balance between that ratio of who's doing what in the operation to make sure that everybody gets their packages out on time. That's our commitment to the customer. And so being able to understand that load balance and how to do that is extremely challenging. So it's how you ask questions, and it's how you are receptive to feedback is really how you are going to be able to, and being intentional with what you're learning. And that's really how I kind of got over that learning curve. Like I was saying, my job, it was easy for me because I already had all those years of being able to lead, right? I already knew that, how to deal with people, how to manage people. So that gave me the freedom, the ability to really submerge myself inside the actual technical aspect of it, understanding the programs and the software.
Okay, good. And wonderful.
Oh, so wonderful. So actually, it is wonderful
what you did at Amazon, but the company.
So at Wonderful, so I'll give you some back up here a little bit. So during a few years ago, after COVID was lifted, a lot of the restrictions were also lifted as well. So there was a lot of shifting, a lot of changing in how we do business. At the same time frame, the Wonderful company in Shafter, the logistics complex was opening up. There was a brand new training center that's there, and so essentially I was a startup while I was there. My job while I was there was saying, hey, you know what? We've got a brand new training center that we're investing in. We want to make sure it's utilized to maximum capacity. Can you make sure that happens? So I utilize those skills that they teach you at Amazon, project management, Lean Six Sigma. Utilize all those fundamentals and knock on doors, get to know who people are, and that's exactly what it was me walking to all those different businesses. And just to give some context for the audience, please. Wonderful Logistics Center is a large area that's in Shafter. It's about 2,000 acres. And there's all different businesses that operate in that complex area, ranging from Walmart, Target, Amazon, the company I just left, and just to name a few. So it's a lot of people. There's about 13,000 people that work there all together. And what my responsibility was to go and knock on those doors and understand their challenges and their pain points. Right. They didn't even know who I was. Yeah. So I'm knocking on the door and saying, hey, my name is Kenny. I'm the Director of Talent Partnerships at the Wonderful company. I'm pleasure to meet you. I would love to have an opportunity to bring you to lunch. Right. So starting that aspect of it was understanding what the different challenging aspects were that they had with each one of those companies that operated in the industrial park. What was interesting though was understanding that all their challenges and their pain points that they had were essentially the same. They were just worded a little bit differently. So through that discovery is really where I started developing programs and bringing in community members that we can really solve some long-term challenging problems. So through that discovery, what we realized is that there was a major need for forklift operators in our community. What was happening? That employers weren't hiring because they didn't have the certifications behind it. So what we created was connecting with a local community college, Bakersfield College, and then creating the curriculum to be able to support free forklift training for the community so that employers have the ability to hire those individuals as soon as they're done with their training, which was a fun program to do. Right. The other one we created was a maintenance technician apprenticeship program. And that was an enduring long-term partnership that we had with Bakersfield College once again, that we provided free college, right, where students are getting paid while they're doing that in our brand new training center. Right. And then from there going to do on-the-job training with an employer that's committed to them. So through these experiences, experiences is really where I cut my teeth, especially in our community here in Kern County, of understanding the different challenges that we have. And there's a lot of growth that's coming here to Kern County. So we've got to make sure that we're investing in our community, whether it's through training or job placement. So
yeah, so this is like super ideal, great experience. You as a vet making this transition and being so successful. Not all vets are as successful at that transition as you've been. Talk to me about the veteran community. What are the strengths? What are the challenges? And, in part, please add how you hope to help fill that gap.
So I think when we talk about strengths from veterans, and I think that when we have to look at the military, first of all, the military, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And I think that it's about providing context to a lot of the community that might not have ever served or might not be aware of that. We range from different opportunities and in the military, from human resources. We have people that do human resources, that run maintenance and motor pools, supply, logistics. So we have these different capacities. So it's about being able to take that skill set that you've learned in the military, and how can you take that skill set that you've ingrained, that you've been trained in, and utilize that in the civilian sector. What the challenging pain point I've seen with some of the veterans that we have is a communication challenge and a communication barrier when it comes time for translation of skills. But I will also back up and say that translation is a two-way street, right? At the same time frame, we've got to make sure that employers understand the capacity and the capability of veterans as well. Yeah. So what are we good at? You asked me that question. So I think when you talk about leadership in the military, first of all, the military invests a lot of money in what we do. Matter of fact, if we're stateside, we're usually going to be doing some sort of training. Okay. And we do it day in and day out. Matter of fact, at each level of grade you go to become a non-commissioned officer, they're going to send you to a different school for that. Right. And you're not only just taking you to a school, but you're putting that into practice at each level of echelon. And so through that experiences, you really have an understanding of how to hold tough and challenging conversations. You also have the ability to provide feedback. Sometimes that feedback can be a little bit too hard. All right, and so that's the ability to where veterans that's why I stepped into my company, so that we can help coach those individuals and make sure that we can provide that transition support that they need.
Awesome. And so if I'm an employer and I'm listening to this, and I'm interested in hiring vets, what do I do? Like, can I contact you? How does that all work?
So I'll back up here real quick too. So we've got a brand new program that's going to be launching here really soon in January. It's called the Veterans Career Bridge Program. Great. And what this program is solving is that challenging point that the DoD Skill Bridge program isn't answering right now. So what it is, it's a community-based program where we provide professional development for veterans and their family members. And the professional development that we provide, the great thing about it is community supported. So our Veteran Resources is coming to the conversation. Wounded Heroes Fund is coming to the conversation. The goal for this program is that we can not only make sure that veterans feel appreciated, but we can also put into practice of what we're actually doing to support veterans, right? We always talk about it, but we actually are doing it here in Kern County. So we provide professional development, which is 2 weeks of training, right? It's all virtual. And in that training that we provide, we're giving them access to the different resources here within Kern County. We're also showing them communication skills. We're providing free industry certifications such as Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt. And so that's the first 2 weeks of training, really. And it's 2 hours a day. After that 2 weeks of training, then what we do is we provide the employer matching with employers that want to commit to support the program at no cost, no risk. All right. At the end of that matching phase, we do all the coordination and all the scheduling for that as well. That's when the paid work experience is going to start for the veteran. And so this program is going to start in January, and it's going to be ran bi-monthly. So the goal for the program is now we're providing a pathway for veterans to be able to meet employers that are looking to hire, and then employers that are looking to hire veterans through the Veterans Career Bridge Program.
Excellent. That's fantastic. It's just meeting all the needs. I can't let this conversation end without giving you a chance to talk more about your military service. It's argued that Army Rangers school is like the toughest school, right? There's those SEALs over there that talk about their stuff, but my understanding is Army Rangers don't take a step back for anybody.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about my story and my background a little bit, and you're absolutely right with that, right? I'm always going to brag about our Rangers. So I was actually really fortunate to lead. I was in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, and I was a recon platoon sergeant. I was extremely fortunate to be able to lead some amazing teams. One of the things I was responsible for was being able to build teams, identify talent, and then build high-performing teams. We did reconnaissance operations and surveillance operations, had a great time doing it. My last deployment, I got a little injured. And so I decided to take my break and take my knee at Fort Benning, Georgia. And at that capacity, I actually became a reconnaissance and surveillance and survival instructor. We call it RSLIC. At Delta Company 4th Ranger Training Battalion. I did that for about a year and some change. And that was a lot of fun. We were doing fast rope insertion. We were doing spies, which is, you ever see those people that are dangling on a rope and they're flying around? We did a lot of that stuff. Free fall as well. And then from there, I got promoted to become a first sergeant. So I actually was at the Ranger School teaching there for a long time. I was a first sergeant for 3 different companies while I was there. Bravo Company, HHC, and the Commandant as well. And that was a lot of fun. And doing that, we brought in females while I was there doing that. And there a lot of stuff changed in the course. And that was just an amazing experience to be able to support and be able to contribute back to the Ranger community.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So, if somebody, whether it's a veteran looking to, get connected to your program, or it's an employer that wants to work with you to get a pipeline of good vets that have been prepared for the workforce, how do they get a hold of you? What is that like?
Okay, my first comment I want to say is this is for veterans, right? I want to speak directly to veterans right here. First and foremost, you matter and we care about you. This is a community this is a great community to be in. This is a great place to raise a family. And I want you to know that this is a community that has your back and that we're here to care and help support you. And if you want to get in touch with us to learn more about TalentBase, you can go to our website at talentbaseusa.com. And there's my contact information that's on there. And we'll be back and following up with you within 24 hours. And the same thing goes with our employers in our community. Take a risk. If you hire a veteran, we want 2026 to be the year of the veteran for Kern County, and we can't do this without your support. So thank you.
Yeah, and I know we've got some details to work out, but Employers Training Resource looks forward to partnering with you. We want to get this Veterans Job Club off the ground in 2026. Super stoked that you're willing to be a major part of that and for us to support you in that. And we hope that, with 2026 being, the year of the veteran and getting more and more vets hired and locked in on that. We look forward to that, and So I want to give you a chance. If there's anything I didn't ask about that you want to share, feel free.
No, I'm just excited that for the partnership and to see what's growing in our community. There's a lot of stuff that's on the horizon here, and I'm really excited for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is episode 2 of Job Talk. I'm Brandon Evans, Director of Employers Training Resource, Chief Workforce Development Officer for the County of Kern, and you can just call me the Jobs Guy. We're out.
Take care.